Welcome back to Coast Vue. Hope you're having a great day, and I really appreciate you joining us, as I always say. Hey, listen, if you haven't liked us on Facebook at the SuperTalk Gulf Coast Facebook page, go there and like us and share us with your friends. We really love getting feedback, and by engaging our audience, by having you engage, we get a lot of great ideas about guests, and we get some important feedback. So now we're going to shift gears. I want to welcome my friend Scott Fox, who's the music director and on-air personality for WCPR here on the Gulf, which is part of this network of stations that are part of SuperTalk Mississippi Media Gulf Coast, and Kenny Vest, who's the market manager for SuperTalk Mississippi Media Gulf Coast. And we're going to talk about CPR Fest, which just finished up this past weekend, and give you the latest on that. It seemed like it was an incredible event, and just find out what's going on in their lives these days. How you guys doing?
Hey, Ricky, how are you, man?
It's good to see you, Scott. Kenny, how you doing?
Good morning. Doing good.
One of the cool things about doing this show is we get a chance to do kind of a handoff, and we had done a show prior to this with a couple of guys that had won a contest. Jamie Bates, who's been on the show many times, and Marcio Bargasan, who they won a big local regional barbecue competition. But they're so dedicated to the community. I get a chance, if they're not off yet, and in this case Kenny and Scott came on, they got a chance to meet each other, and I was surprised that Kenny and Jamie Bates didn't know each other, because the way I would describe Kenny is that he knows everybody, and the way I would describe Jamie is he knows everybody, but they didn't know each other. So now they do, and that's pretty cool. Kenny, I'm not the only one who thinks you know everybody, am I?
I think Scott thinks I know everybody, but I think he knows everybody, Scott. Heard it before.
Well, I know everybody. I just can't remember everybody.
That comes with age. But you guys have been working together. We're going to come to the CPR Fest here in just a second. But you guys have been working together for, nearly 30 years. It's been amazing, hasn't it, Scott?
It has been amazing. Yeah, who would have thunk back in the day that 30 years later we'd be here still? But hey, we are. We're still kicking.
And Kenny's WCPR, the local station here, has continued to be relevant. The numbers have continued to be strong for people who wonder about radio in the digital age. And CPR is actually really important just in terms of how it stands out among similar stations across the nation.
Yeah, we've been lucky here. I mean, Scott was actually here a little bit before I was, and then we launched CPR from it'll be 27 years in September, and it's been thriving ever since. It's just it's a machine, and it keeps going, and it's and I've said this on previous shows, it's probably the strongest it's been ever right now. So yeah, we're happy, we're lucky, we're having fun, and CPR's it's a unique brand. It's a unique product for the format. So yeah, we're good.
And Scott, I think you probably would say that the reason it's doing well is because the on-air personalities are incredible, and the music selection is the best. Is that how you would see it?
We've always had great on-air personalities through the years. So we're not just the bland jocks that you hear across the country. We have personalities, and we have a lot of fun here in the studio, and out and about. But you're right, the music is great. There's good rock music, and one of the things I like about CPR is we're able to play the new stuff. Some stations just play the classic rock stuff, which is fine. The classic rock music is good, but we get to play the new stuff, which is also, there's a lot of good new stuff out there.
And you've spent a lot of time evaluating that. I mean, you and Kenny have this religious approach that you take towards selecting music. Tell us about that. Well,
we have the same idea of what a hit song is. And so through the years, that's just kind of, a lot of times I'll find a song that Kenny hasn't heard maybe, and I'll test him to see if he likes it or not, just to make sure our idea of the good music is still the same. And it is, so, we find the good music all over the place, and he may find something too and bring it to me, and we'll listen to the stuff and say, yeah, man, that's a hit. Even if they're not going for it as a single, maybe we might start it off on our own. We did that with several tunes.
I don't think we've ever agreed on a song, believe it or not. All these years, maybe there have been a handful, but for the most part, our vision of what we want the station to sound like and what we feel is a hit song. It's Scott and I are on, just on the same page pretty much on everything, and it's worked.
Hey Scott, what's interesting? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Finish.
No, I was going to say it comes down to good music, good hook, and not a lot of screaming.
Yeah, actually, you're really focused on making sure it's not too hard. That's something that's important to you, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because, rock has this stigma of screaming and metal, and it's just not that all the time, not on CPR anyway.
Hey, so you know what's interesting, and Kenny and I have talked about this in past shows, but one of the things that my observation after watching newspapers struggle, certainly these days and certainly the last 10 years of my career, and I had the real pleasure of being part of a digital media company in the later part of my years and learned a lot about digital media as a result of that. But one of the things that was interesting to me, and I didn't get a chance to really understand this until I said yes to Coast Vue, because then I wanted to understand, how does terrestrial radio that comes in over your car, not through a satellite, how does that stack up, and how is it doing relative to other traditional media? And what I learned is that it's doing really well. But what's happened in the industry has been the centralization of everything, and I actually think that's a major mistake. You've seen these conglomerates buying up all these stations, and they're trying to manage everything from a national point of view. What SuperTalk Mississippi Media has done, which I think is so smart, is they have stayed focused on the fact that local is where it's at. That it's all about local news. It's all about local personalities. It's all about what's going on in the community as it relates to the weather and traffic and all these things. And SuperTalk Mississippi Media has been very committed to that. So at a time when you see all these other stations that are moving towards sort of these national approaches to personalities, et cetera, CPR, in the midst of all of that, launches its own morning show. Tell me more about that, Scott.
Well, think about it like this. Long distance relationships don't usually work out, right? So do you want a guy in New York or Los Angeles or Detroit or Chicago telling us what to play down in Gulfport, Mississippi? And not only that, they don't have a feel for this market. They're not here. They don't see the listeners. They're not on the streets. We're here. We know what's going on in the community. We're in touch with it. And, so we can better serve this community by being here.
Tell me about your personalities. Tell us about the morning show.
We recently started our own morning show. It's called the WTF Morning Show. And we have Lucas and Riley and Dan Saw. Dan used to be a stand-up comedian. We found ourselves in a position where we needed to find a new morning show. And we searched the country, Kenny and I did, and listened to all the syndicated shows. We listened to a ton of them. And we just weren't impressed really with any of them. And so, Kenny, being the solutionist that he is, he says, well, it maybe sound crazy, but let's put our own together from people in the building. And so that's what we did. And he's guided them. They sound better than any of those syndicated shows that we listen to. No doubt.
Kenny, I'm super impressed. I know you were a little anxious. Launching you don't do that this day and time. Everything's about centralization, but you tackled it, and the chemistry of the team came together, and it has turned out to be really fun and really popular. Tell me more about it.
Yeah, you don't know if there's chemistry until you put them all together. And if we did weeks of mock-up shows before we hit the air. In December, we did the mock-up shows, and the chemistry kept getting stronger and more cohesive every day that we were doing the show. Now it's great. In fact, you know you're doing something right when you're at CPR Fest and they're broadcasting under the tent, and there's a small line of people waiting to get their autograph. So that happened on Saturday. We feel really good about the show. It's upbeat. It's fun. It's, a little off center. It's got a whole bunch of everything all into one. And it's all those guys. They're also talented, and to come together and be talented as a group is what we hope to do. And that's what's happening right now. It's a great start for us, and we're extremely happy with it.
I was so excited that WCPR, as an extension of their brand, brought back the CPR Fest. The CPR Fest has got so much rich history. Probably the most notable rich history, which tied well to this year, is the story of Three Doors Down, which we've told here on this show, and how you, Kenny, had a big role in helping Three Doors Down become discovered. And when you guys listen to the song Kryptonite, and realize, on your homegrown show, and realize this has some legs to it, never in your wildest imagination did you think it would become, this show that, you look on YouTube and you see tens of millions of views. You can start your answer. We got less than a minute left, and we'll pick it up on the other side and connect it back to why this year's CPR Fest is so important. Go ahead, Kenny.
Yeah, obviously we had no clue it was going to blow up like it did. It was number one on multiple formats. 4 or 5 formats at the same time, the number one song in the country. 30 million records later, obviously nobody knew that was going to happen, but it did. And they came full circle on Saturday and headlined Saturday night right where it all started on the main stage. They played the local stage way back in the day. But yeah, it was a good night and great for the guys. It's just a story that comes along. Who knows how often it comes along, but it's a great story, and we're happy to be a part of it.
We've got Kenny Vest and Scott Fox. When we come back, we'll talk specifically about this year's CPR Fest. See you after this. Welcome back to Coast Vue. We're talking to my friend Scott Fox and Kenny Vest from SuperTalk Mississippi Media, and specifically WCPR. And such a rich history here. Almost 30 years these guys have been working together to bring this incredible radio station to coastal Mississippi, and it has proven to be a mainstay when you talk about the numbers and its power into this community. That's why I think the sort of natural extension of a radio channel like WCPR to do something like CPR Fest, which I thought for so many years was just like this natural marketing extension, and had so much success. The most important story was the one we were just talking about when we came back, before we went to break, was the story of discovering Three Doors Down, which is one of the reasons having Three Doors Down sort of be the title band for bringing CPR Fest back. It had to have been super cool, and the weather when they played was just incredible, wasn't it, Kenny?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, we've had, rough weather over the years, but Saturday was perfect. Sunny during the day, nice, cool, clear at night. So yeah, couldn't have gotten any better weather-wise. And just the vibe there was so just fun, and everybody's upbeat. It was a great day and a great night for our company and for CPR.
Was Brad excited?
He was very excited. He was telling me earlier in the week that he was nervous. He gets nervous playing in front of the home crowd. He said he was a little bit nervous before he went on stage, but then he came on and, all the nerves went away, and they did their thing and played all their hits, and great response from the crowd. And it was a great way to wrap it up with Three Doors Down headlining.
Yeah, I follow him closely, and he loves to entertain. He really does. I mean, he's he and his wife, as he's discussed when we had him on Coast Vue, they enjoyed their quiet life in Tennessee, but when he gets back on the road, he really likes that. And now that the pandemic is certainly not behind us, but the opportunity to perform again, it's a great thing. So if you kind of take a step back for a second, Kenny, just look at the whole thing, that all the pieces come together the way it was supposed to, and what's your read on the festival this year? Yeah,
they did. I mean, there were a couple of bands that we had locked in that were going to be also on the lineup, and this just happens in the business where something has come up, a scheduling issue or recording issue. So a couple of bands weren't on the lineup that we wanted to at the beginning, but it was still a solid show. The band out of Texas, Giovanni and the Hired Guns, pretty much. Man, they stole the show. They came out. They were the first band on the big stage, and Scott can tell you a little bit more about that. But, man, they captured the crowd, and they got a lot of new fans who maybe didn't know who they were, but they do now. But all the bands were really strong, and, usually you have maybe some big obstacles that come during the festival that, this didn't happen the right way, or there's an emergency over here, or this and that, and didn't have a lot of that on Saturday, so I'm extremely happy.
So Scott, so speaking of Giovanni and Kenny mentioned others, it was fun watching it. I watched it on social media, and when those bands started, you could see there was a buzz about it. Did you expect that?
I kind of did in a way because we haven't had a show in so long. People were just excited to be out at a festival again. And when Giovanni kicked it off at 3:00 on that main stage, I mean, they just sounded fantastic. And they kind of stole the show, which I kind of predicted they would. I saw them a few weeks ago in Las Vegas. And so I knew they were gonna bring it. These guys are from Texas, and they drove all morning to get here to CPR Fest. And I think at one point they got up on stage with a tuba and played a song with a tuba, which just blew me away. I couldn't believe I've never seen a rock band with a tuba on stage. It was amazing.
That's cool. That's cool, especially if what comes with it is a great sound and a great song, right?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, everyone was just locked in on it that whole time.
So Kenny, CPR isn't done. There, you expect other events to come up in the future, don't you?
We do. In fact, we have one that we're doing in September. It's called the CPR Fall Ball, celebrating our 27th birthday. It's going to be Shinedown playing at the Coliseum. This will be inside along with Jelly Roll and another act. So we've got that, and we're going to do CPR Fest next year. So in between then, we'll have other events as a company and as a station for CPR. So yeah, we're up and running and happy to be back in the concert business.
It is exciting. It's exciting to see. And just remind people in the short time we have left, Kenny, what stations are part of the SuperTalk Mississippi Media family here on the Gulf Coast? Well,
we have SuperTalk, which we're on right now, 103.1, 105.9, The Monkeys, our top 40 station. 96.7 is our throwback station. We have the new Bob 106.3, which is adult hits, and every song's pretty much a big hit. And we have CPR 97.9 WCPR. And for the Facebook and YouTube audience, you see that Scott proudly points at the logo behind him. I'm assuming he's in the studio. So anyway, hey guys, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. Congratulations on getting CPR Fest back off the ground again, and look forward to great things from you. Congratulations on all your success at WCPR, Kenny. Thank you for your leadership of the company down here on the coast. It's been a pleasure to work with you, and I look forward to staying in touch, my friend. Absolutely. Looking forward to it, Ricky. Okay, this has been Scott. Yeah, thanks, Scott. This has been Scott Fox and Kenny Vest, and have a great weekend. We will see you on Monday.